I'm Maya Trabulsi. Tonight on KPBS Evening Edition, the first results are in for this Super Tuesday. And the news is not good from this month's measure of the California snowpack. You're watching Evening Edition on KPBS television. Good evening and thanks for joining us. It's Super Tuesday, the biggest delegate haul in the 2016 campaign. There are presidential contests in 11 states today. Polls have closed in 10 of them. Only Alaska remains open. And some wins have already been projected. On the Democratic side, the Associated Press says Hillary Clinton won in Georgia, Virginia, Alabama, Tennessee, Arkansas, and Texas, while Bernie Sanders won in Vermont and Oklahoma. For the Republicans, Donald Trump won Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, and Massachusetts, while Ted Cruz won Oklahoma and his home state of Texas. And you can find up-to-the-minute election coverage online at kpbs.org. We've also got continuing coverage on KPBS Radio at 89.5 FM, and PBS coverage of Super Tuesday begins with the News Hour at 7 o'clock. Then tune in to KPBS Television at 11 for more special coverage from PBS. State water officials found a shrinking snowpack up in the Sierra Nevada today. It measured 105% of normal up at Echo Summit. Just a month ago, it was 130% of normal. Statewide, the snowpack is 85% of normal.
Clearly a decline from last month's really good start, but when you only have one basically storm event in February, this is how you end up.
The snowpack survey is significant because it measures what's known as the frozen reservoir, and the snowpack typically melts into about a third of California's water supply. February was the hottest on record in San Diego since record keeping began. The daytime high temperature averaged 74.5 degrees, surpassing the previous record set in 1980 by nearly 4 degrees. February was also among the driest in the record books. The culprit was a massive high-pressure dome that pushed temperatures as high as 25 degrees above the average and blocked storm systems from entering the region. But forecasters say a change in the weather pattern is on the way, and we will have more about that later on in the show. The city of San Diego plans to publish more than 100 sets of data online starting in July. KPBS reporter Claire Tregesser says today the city released the list of what it will make public.
How would you like to see all of the places fire hydrants have been knocked over? Or how much revenue comes from each parking meter? What about the number of seals at the La Jolla Children's Pool? All of those are data sets the city will make public beginning in July.
Ultimately, the data belongs to the taxpayers. I know the mayor feels strongly about that.
Almas Udris is the city's director of performance and analytics. He says the publication of databases empowers residents to get more information, encourages startup companies to find uses for the data, and increases civic engagement.
We want them to be connected and feel like our government is helping them accomplish whatever task, whether it's starting up a business, whether it's seeing when their streets are going to get paved. Help them accomplish what they're looking to accomplish.
On the website, users can scroll through all of the data sets that will be made public and vote on what they'd like to see first.
If you don't see a data set that's in here that you either think we have or that you would like us to have, you'll be allowed to submit that information as well, and it will help guide us on future data sets that we either look for or frankly try to create.
Udris says while the city has more than 2,000 data sets, it's only publishing a list of 115 for now, because those are the data sets it's sure can be made public. He expects the list will grow as more data is deemed ready for public release. He says until now, San Diego has lagged behind the rest of the country in open data.
I think we're going to be a nationally recognized leader in this movement. It's pretty easy to put up a flashy website or a flashy picture and say you're doing open data. It's quite another thing to be empowered to do it well, do it right, and make sure people can trust the information.
You can see the list and vote on what should be made public first at datasd.org. Claire Tregesser, KPBS News.
San Diego City Council has approved $4 million for a program to house 1,000 homeless veterans over the next year. The Housing Our Heroes campaign includes several elements. They include incentives for landlords who rent to homeless vets, assistance with security deposits and utility bills, and a contingency fund to help landlords cover expenses like move-out repairs. The program will also provide rental assistance vouchers and social services like mental health counseling, substance abuse treatment, and job training. Just over 15% of San Diego's homeless are veterans. The man who replaced Kevin Faulconer in Council District 2 for a short time is now looking to replace him in the mayor's office. Democrat Ed Harris joined the mayor's race today. Faulconer now faces 9 challengers. San Diego voters may be asked to decide on a measure regarding the salaries of city officials. Right now, the city council votes on whether to raise its own salary, along with the pay of the mayor and the city attorney. But since no politician likes the optics of giving himself or herself a raise, neither the mayor nor the council have had a raise in more than 12 years. Bob Otterly is chair of the city's salary setting commission. He's tried and failed repeatedly to take the power away from the city council.
Our goal as citizens is to get the best and brightest to serve our community. And what we've done in this community now for over 50 years is to create an artificially low salary level to benefit existing council members.
The measure is one of several charter amendments proposed for the ballot. Carlsbad residents have 30 days to comment on plans to expand the Palomar Airport. KPBS North County Bureau reporter Allison St. John tells us about the new 20-year master plan.
Palomar Airport is being used by bigger and bigger corporate jets. In fact, last year it's estimated there were 6,000 landings and takeoffs by planes bigger than the runway is designed to handle. So the county, which owns the land in Carlsbad, has decided that an expansion to increase safety is in order to meet FAA guidelines. Last night's hearing gave residents a chance to see when the proposed changes could happen. The runway could be lengthened 200 feet in the next 7 years and by another 600 feet later. The problem is the airstrip is built on an old landfill, and in this image you can see the old landfill fill in green. An extension would have to be built on pylons drilled into the landfill, which would be very expensive. In the meantime, the runway will be repositioned to create more space around it to accommodate planes with much wider wingspans. This poster board at the hearing shows the difference between the Class B aircraft the runway is designed for and the Class C jets that are already landing there. Noise is a big issue for nearby residents, though experts say the new larger jets can be quieter than older, smaller planes. The expansion plans would cost millions of dollars, and once the plan is approved, possibly by next fall, the next step would be to see how much of it the FAA would be willing to subsidize. None of this can happen until an environmental impact report is completed sometime next summer. But now is a critical time for residents, since this is their 30-day window to comment. Allison St. John from the KPBS North County Bureau.
A new report says San Diego's aerospace industry added thousands of jobs over a 10-year period, even though that sector declined in most of Southern California. The study looked at the decade from 2004 to 2014. It found that San Diego aerospace companies added more than 4,800 jobs. A majority of them were in instrumentation. There were also many new jobs in parts manufacturing. The study also predicts slow growth over the next 5 years, with some new job creation and replacement of retiring workers. A high-stakes battle between privacy and national security took the floor in Congress today. FBI Director James Comey and Apple chief lawyer Bruce Sewell appeared before the House Judiciary Committee for a hearing on encryption. The case involves the locked iPhone of one of the shooters in the San Bernardino attack that left 14 people dead last December. The FBI says it's only trying to use all resources available to successfully investigate that case. But Apple says it's being asked to create an operating system that doesn't exist.
There are no demons in this debate. The companies are not evil, the government's not evil. You have a whole lot of good people who see the world through different lenses, who care about things, all care about the same things, in my view.
The FBI is asking Apple to weaken the security of our products. Hackers and cyber criminals could use this to wreak havoc on our privacy and personal safety. It would set a dangerous precedent for government intrusion into the privacy and safety of its citizens.
Today's hearing comes after two conflicting court rulings in New York and California. They are part of the charm of Ocean Beach, which is why residents are up in arms over the killing of 5 parrots this year. Now, a reward is on the table for anyone who can help find whoever is shooting the birds with a pellet gun. SoCal Parrot in Hamul is helping to collect donations to help find out who is behind the killing spree. Police believe all the birds were killed by the same person. The Tijuana mayor's office is now talking about last week's removal of the city's police chief. Alejandro Lares was asked to resign on Friday. He said it was because of a media campaign against him, and the Tijuana media said it was because of a spike in homicides. But the mayor says it was neither. He says he wanted a chief with more experience. It's been 6 months since an inquiry into the operation of the YMCA of San Diego County closed. Details of the findings were kept secret except for this conclusion: there was no illegal conduct. But KPBS investigative reporter Amita Sharma says the exit of a key executive may indicate the YMCA's troubles remain. Earlier today, I spoke with Amita about her interview with that former YMCA employee. Amita, you've been on top of this story for a while, but let's rewind a bit so we can get the story clear. What was last summer's investigation of the YMCA supposed to look into, and what actually did they find?
Well, the YMCA's corporate board last July hired a consultant to investigate allegations of forced resignations, mistreatment of minority employees, and questionable management practices at the YMCA. Now, the YMCA never released the formal findings of that investigation, but it released a very carefully worded statement that said that it found no financial fraud, that it found no unlawful discrimination, and that no programs or initiatives were inconsistent with the mission of the YMCA.
And you also say that the investigation got underway last July. Another example was about to unfold, illustrating, according to some, why a probe was even needed.
That's right.
What happened?
So the YMCA was looking for an interim executive director for its branch in Oceanside, and the name of that branch is Motino. So they turned to a woman by the name of Glenda DeVoe. At the time, she oversaw a staff of about 250 people in her role as Association Director of Child and Youth Development at the YMCA. She accepted the job, but she said, Maya, that when she got to the Motino branch, the place was in a state of crisis.
The first month that I went in, we were behind $50,000 in camp. They needed training. They didn't know how to do budgets. They didn't understand projections. They were failing in areas, but they didn't understand how to develop new programs or how to meet the community needs. Child and youth development. When I got there, the programs didn't have any supplies, they didn't have any resources.
Now, Amitha, what does it take for a YMCA branch to get to such a point?
Well, DeVoe said heavy-handed management led to high turnover, which led to a very green staff. DeVoe says she got no guidance from her supervisors, and that when she took the problems to them, they told her, look, your job is not to get into the operations of the branch, that you are to manage the board. But she said it was too late for that. When she met with Board of Management members, they said, look, we know about these problems, and we want you to get to the bottom of them. So she again took her concerns back to her supervisors, and she said that they chastised her.
I was told that you're not supposed to tell board members what was wrong. You acted like everything was fine, and you put a smile on your face, and you kept moving.
So she spoke up and then was reprimanded. What happened then?
So just months later, DeVoe says she received a very poor performance evaluation with no explanation, and that she was asked to resign. She said she took her case to various executives at the YMCA, including CEO Baron Hertelin Doherty, and she got no resolution. So she says she acquiesced and she quit.
It hurt. I had nobody else to go to. I spoke with the COO, I spoke to the CEO, I spoke to the general counsel and senior HR director, and none of them were willing to sit at a table and say, how can we make this better? How do we move forward? It was very much act like it didn't happen.
I should say, Maya, that DeVoe is a Latina, and she believes that some of her experience at the YMCA was connected to her ethnicity.
I was told I was too direct, and people like me, you know, could get terminated, or they terminate people like me, making reference. I felt that people like me, I look different. I am a minority, and there's at one time I was probably, I want to say, the highest minority in the executive interim role that we had. I've seen multiple minorities lose their jobs for no reason at all.
And sources have told me that about 25 executive directors and other senior managers have left the YMCA or have been forced out from the YMCA in recent years, and more than half of them are bilingual minorities.
What does the YMCA have to say about what happened to DeVoe?
Well, I reached out to the board members at the Motino branch. They referred my request for comment back to YMCA headquarters in Mission Valley. A spokeswoman there said, look, it's our policy not to comment on personnel matters, but it should be noted, Maya, that there continues to at least appear to be disenchantment with the way the organization overall is being run. 12 board members from the ECI branch in Encinitas have resigned over the last year, and they have expressed dismay over how the organization is being led. And over the last year, about half of the corporate board of the YMCA, which oversees the entire organization, has left. I wanted to find out why. I reached out to the corporate board president, John McGuire. He did not respond to a request for my comments.
And we'll continue to follow this story along with you, Amitha. Thank you so much. KPBS investigative reporter Amitha Sharma. And we have more on this investigation online at kpbs.org. The fight against Alzheimer's disease is a long and hard one, but a report released today shows major headway has been made in the San Diego region over the last year. The Alzheimer's Project was launched 2 years ago. San Diego County Supervisor Diane Jacobs says the project has made many improvements in that time. They include a research incubator for brain research and a $2.5 million grant for SDSU to train healthcare workers in the geriatric field. 3D printing offers potential solutions for some tough medical problems. In Australia, a 3D printer helped doctors treat a man with a rare form of cancer affecting the skull and the spine. They performed a 15-hour operation to remove the cancerous bone and replace it with a precisely measured prosthetic made of titanium.
Placing the implant at the end of the operation, that's the easy part. The hard part is the 1 or 2 months of work beforehand. The hard part is sitting down at a computer console and working out how you're going to do the operation, what angles that you're going to take, how you're going to achieve the resection of the tumour, and then planning the implant around that. So the tough bit's already been done. This is the good fun bit.
It's now been nearly 3 months since the operation. The patient is recovering, but will need some rehabilitation to be able to eat and speak normally. Motion capture is another high-tech tool getting picked up by the healthcare industry. Reporter Pete Weitzner shows us how it's being used in physical therapy.
This is what physical therapy could look like in the not-so-distant future. A motion-captured image of a patient that lets doctors take exact measurements. Systems like this already exist, but the machines cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. A startup company called Precision in Motion is making one using an off-the-shelf Microsoft Kinect sensor and a little software ingenuity.
Microsoft has developer tools, so we took the developer tools and have adapted them to physical therapy.
Essentially what we're doing is we're taking the technology that's already been developed for gaming and three-dimensional analysis of movement, and we're harnessing that sensor and we're building software that will more specifically answer the questions that are appropriate for a physical therapist and adapt to our use of it.
The Connect records the patient's every movement in a 3D space.
If I am targeting the knee and I want to know how much the knee is moving, the thing that I use is basically my visual assessment of how they're moving that knee. With the Connect, we'll be able to replay how they walked and slow it down so I can see it in much slower and analyze it. And in addition, on the screen, it's going to show up exactly what the range is at each joint.
The development team says the system is a major step forward in the field of physical therapy. Not only will it benefit caregivers, it can also inspire patients.
With this system, we can project on a screen in front of them so they can actually see what they're doing as they're doing it. So they know that on the screen it says, you know, my knee is 30 degrees and I can push it to 32 and work hard at the moment. So being able to, at the moment, see how you're doing and push a little harder, I think it speeds up progress in rehabilitation.
Today, the standard of measurement at most physical therapy offices is a best guess through observation. At her practice, Dr. Butler is working with Colin, who is a toe walker. She watches his gait to look for improvements in heel strikes as he walks, then has to stop the therapy session to get exact measurements on joint angles.
If I had a Connect here, I would literally not have to use this. I could literally turn it on, say go, and have both sides right away. Whereas right now, I'm down here on the floor trying to measure, and then I'm going to have to go over on this side and do the same thing.
Dr. Butler believes the Connect system will allow therapists to make great strides in patient care.
I feel really excited that this could potentially improve life for a lot of people in a lot of different places, I mean, potentially all over the world.
And you can see more stories like that one on SciTech Now, airing on Sundays at 5:30 here on KPBS. More dry, sunny weather this week for San Diego, but some rain may be heading our way this weekend. Stephanie Olmo has more on tonight's KPBS Weather Report.
Pretty tranquil conditions all across much of the Southwest. Really not a whole lot to talk about here as we check out the satellite and radar. Looking at some cloud cover, Nevada, parts of the Four Corners region, but really not so much around San Diego and across much of the surrounding areas. Notice here we're looking at some wet weather across the extreme northern portions here of California. The storm track this past week has been up to the north, so pretty much the northwest getting impacted, storms after storms, but really not so much further south. And I know we're in much need of this rain, but I do have some good news as we head into late this week, this weekend. We are looking at the chance for some wet weather. Satellite and radar shows us around Southern California, not a whole lot going on. Clear skies, Ramona, temperatures diving down to 41 degrees, 38 in Mount Laguna, Borrego Springs. Relatively quiet conditions also in San Diego with a low of 57 degrees. Big area of high pressure remains in place here, and this is what's allowing for dry, warm conditions for the most part along the coast. Temperatures 5 to 10 degrees above the average for this time of year through Wednesday. And as we take it a little bit further in, we're talking about temperatures extremely warm, 10 to 20 degrees above the average. So really, this has been the theme the past couple of days, and it's going to remain the theme as we head into the rest of the work week pretty much. But as we head into the weekend, the storm track is going to shift its way further south, so it's going to become much wetter around central and southern California. Much needed rain. As many know, we are under an extreme to exceptional drought across much of the Golden State, and the wet weather could creep as far east, impacting places like Phoenix. But this is set to impact us as we head into the second half of the weekend and continuing early week. All right, 5-day outlook for the coast. Partly sunny skies as we head into the next couple of days. Temperatures diving down into the 60s Friday and Saturday. Here goes that chance for some wet weather on Sunday, wrapping up the weekend with a dip in temperatures as well, diving down to 65 degrees. All right, your extended forecast further inland. Pretty warm out here. Temperatures remaining in the low 70s with a mix of sun and clouds. Periods of sunshine wrapping up the work week on Friday. And then here comes the showers here on Sunday. And also temperatures will fall to 66 degrees. So a bit cooler as we head into the second half of the weekend. All right, for the mountains, can expect gusty winds at times, also around the desert slopes. Pretty quiet conditions Thursday, Friday, Saturday, even Sunday as well. Could be a bit windy there with a daytime high 46 degrees. And last but not least, 5-day outlook for the desert slopes. Partial sunshine, temperatures in the 90s. How about 87 Friday and Saturday, then cooling off on Sunday. I'm Stephanie Omo, KPBS News.
Construction began today on a new bike path in the Mid-City region. The protected bike lane will run parallel to State Route 15, and once completed will offer a safe way for bikes to travel between Mid-City, City Heights, and Mission Valley. The project is being funded with the state and federal money. The path is expected to be open by the middle of next year. And let's take one more look at the results so far in today's Super Tuesday voting. Polls have closed in 10 of the 11 states that are voting tonight. The Associated Press says Donald Trump has scored projected wins in 4 states, while Ted Cruz won in Oklahoma and his home state of Texas. On the Democratic side, Hillary Clinton is the projected winner in 6 states. Bernie Sanders is the projected winner in Oklahoma and Vermont. And you can find up-to-the-minute election coverage online at kpbs.org. We've also got continuing coverage on KPBS Radio at 89.5 FM, and PBS coverage of Super Tuesday begins next with the News Hour. Then tune in to KPBS Television at 11 for more special coverage from PBS. Thank you for joining us. Have a great evening. Good night.